All right, I think everything is loading up. Come on, Facebook. There we go. All right, and we're live. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, just sitting here drinking my morning coffee, looking sexy as hell as usual. And yeah, I think we'll get a good coffee chat today. I feel like today is going to be a real strong coffee chat. We're going to have a good one. It's what my instinct is telling me. So let me get these Amazon. Get them Amazon links up. And we will take it from there. I guess the topic is going to be a training day. I'm going to have a good workout too. All the benching stuff is going really good. Like, I'm surprised my 315 top set's not PRing for reps because all my back off work's going up. All my tricep work is going up. Like, I hit 245 for 12 paused reps and they were clean. Like, I didn't have to grind the last one either. I felt I left about a rep in the tank. So I don't know. I'm going to keep pushing all that and we'll see what it does. But yeah, I feel like the bench is going to do really well today. I ate a bunch of chicken drumsticks yesterday. I probably went way over my calories, but that's all good. We'll see how we do today. Sort that back out today. I cooked those. You guys saw them because I had them, and I have a bunch in the freezer. I'm like, I'm not even doing lower carb, but I'm like, I just did them. Ended up being most of my food yesterday, but we'll go back super clean today. I don't necessarily think that chicken drumsticks are clean because of that fat content. That tends to just go through me. But I digress. Back over to the point. I feel like we'll have a good workout today. All right. Just fueled by those drumsticks. So I think we'll get some good benching. I'm going to keep pushing that box squat up too. That feels right. All right. And we've seen me do that before. I remember how much nonsense I get every time I start box squatting, right? How often do we see this has happened like 4 times now, right? I start box squatting, I hit certain numbers, and people say, you can't do that without a box if you didn't have the box. And it's like, you can tell they don't squat. Like, they're not squatters. They don't box squat. And all the powerlifters start laughing when they're saying that. People make videos on it. And the powerlifters are laughing, going, most people can squat more than they box squat. If it's deep box squats like I do. Right? So it's funny when they say that. It's ridiculous. And then I'll pull the box out and then hit whatever weight. And then you'll get some haters who'll be like, oh, okay, I'll shut up for now. You're right. You proved me wrong. And then a year later, the same thing happens again. It's a very strange thing. Like, again, that people don't understand powerlifting or strength training when they don't understand that you're not stronger on a box squat. Like, I don't think these people even lift if they say that. Right? To me, that's a dead giveaway. This person has never done any heavy squatting in their life. Like, they have no idea what they're talking about. So again, it's quite a strange thing. But they'll confuse it maybe with a high box, that limits the range of motion. So I'll push the box squat back. It's like I did, back in December, got the box squat to 500, pulled it out and hit a 500 back squat, I like box work. Some of my clients do too. So that's the thing too. I still have clients who do box squats and the good mornings and everything. I just don't feel like I got the recovery to do good mornings too, on the full body. I mean, I could do it. It'd be interesting. I tend to feed my deadlifts. Tips for shoulder mobility struggling to get under the squat bar. Man, James, you need both, brother. Because I lost that mobility with some overuse stuff and some impingement. Tips, just keep working it. Dead hangs, band pull aparts, right? These things will help you. I've been messing with Lou raises a little bit on my off days. They're really lightweight. So it really depends on what's caused the shoulder problem. It's probably mobility really isn't the right word though, is it? Right? Do you need shoulder mobility to squat, or do you just need range of motion? People can, sorry, I know it sounds like an argument of semantics, and it is, but mobility has nothing to do with range of motion. Does that make sense? Mobility is how strong you are at the ends of your range of motion. So it's a strength component. There's a performance component to mobility. But why do we use that term though? Really mean flexibility. But yeah, you're just gonna have to work those things. You got to figure out what's causing it. There's so many things that can cause shoulder range of motion issues. It's a very complicated one, James. It really is, unfortunately. This is by far the most complex joint in your body. There's nothing even close, really. So it can be difficult to pin down what's causing your problem. Range of motion probably is way better at putting it. Yeah. Hey, what's going on, Mustafa? Doing good, man. We're getting this coffee chat in on the tubes on Facebook. Making it happen. Yeah. 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 We have no likes on the tube yet. That pretty much kills the stream. Hey, James says, could you hit the like button too? So if people come in and they don't hit like on a tube stream, it stops putting in people's feeds. So basically, I get too far in. If we don't get any, I have to shut it down and restart it. It would be in my best interest. Yeah. But usually the coffee chats do good. They just need time to warm up. Once we start getting people in, we're good. We had more, but the lack of likes pretty much will be the end of the stream. It'll take it 10 more minutes to get people in as a result. But I'm doing good, Mustafa. You see my bench back off work? Yours been chasing all the reps, right? But you need to be lifting heavier. I think I caught you. I did 245 or 12, all paused on Monday after my top set. Okay. What's up, Jason? What's going on? One of you. Dean, it's not odd at all. Think about how far back I picked up those subscribers. So they're literally not seeing it in their feeds. So some of them are just old subscribers who don't check in or dead accounts. Because think about that plaque, right? How long have I had that? Right? I've had that thing like 10 years, man. Which means in 10 years, I've only gained 10,000 followers in the last decade. So now I feel like if I stay active and hit the different points I'm doing now, because my subscribers are slowly coming back up, this will kick back off. It's just going to take a little time. It's going to take a little time. I accept that. Mustafa, you can say whatever you want. You don't have to ask anything. I appreciate the engagement. Why do you look smaller every time you go into deficit? Because you are smaller every time you go into deficit. You have less muscle glycogen. I mean, like, look at me. Look how much smaller I look just fasted in the mornings. Like, look at these coffee chats sitting here versus my afternoon chats once I'm carved up. My arms literally look 2 inches bigger, and I have veins the size of my pinkies. They're gone in the morning when I'm fasted. What do you think about myostatin inhibiting muscle growth? I can't think of a more dangerous and stupid area of people wanting to get bigger. People are starting to get obsessed with these strange pathways. I'm like, why don't we just stick with the safer ones we already have? You know, I just use shitloads of steroids. Like, why do we need to inhibit myostatin? You know, that would be my question on that topic. I mean, was Ronnie Coleman not big enough? You know? Yeah, I started doing political views. I am one you. Rufio, hey Jason, what's up? Appreciate it, man. Appreciate those likes, Rufio. Let's get those likes going. No, I've been doing political stuff. It is actually helping a little bit. So the thing is, Mustafa, you know, everyone keeps chasing this as a pathway that they want to start investigating and use drugs for. But my question is, given already the risks of myostatin inhibition in people who have it, all the side effects they have, the people born with this genetic defect, like the low quality of life they tend to have, why would we want to do that with a drug? And my question with that is, like, why do we need to keep pushing the envelope? You know, these bodybuilders are dropping like flies already. And so when we start saying things like, well, we need to mess with this next anabolic pathway, you're saying that Ronnie Coleman is small. Right? You're like, these guys aren't big enough. So if you personally say, hey, I want to mess with this next set of drugs and stuff for this next anabolic pathway, you're saying, I think Ronnie Coleman is kind of small and I want to be 50 pounds bigger than him. You know, Nick Walker just isn't big enough. Like, I just wouldn't be comfortable being at his size. I need to be bigger than that. Yeah. Why would you think Ronnie Coleman had those genes for myostatin inhibition? Did he have the side? I didn't see any of the side effects of it, you know, in any of his discussions. I never heard Ronnie Coleman talk about how bad he hurts. Right. Yeah, just about every week there's a new article about bodybuilding dying, you know. So yeah, no, I mean, I get it. People keep asking about it, but I mean, the thing that I would say with myostatin inhibition, all right, so let's set aside that it may kill you. No, Ronnie Coleman didn't use less gear, by the way. That's what all the coaches who knew him said, that Ronnie Coleman's biggest genetic advantage was that he got less steroid side effects and that he was able to use enormous amounts of testosterone with almost no side effects. Like, that was his genetic treat. Like, that was one of his biggest genetic gifts, was his resistance to side effects. So Ronnie Coleman's one of those guys who could do 5 grams of tests with very, very few side effects. Just like it's nothing. So you understand. So let's talk about, you know, the thing, if someone goes on myostatin, if we could find a way to get a drug that would inhibit your myostatin. So because you're like, man, Nick Walker's too small, I need to be bigger than this mofo. Oh, your next thing is you're going to get hooked on painkillers, right? All right. Oh, you're watching the stream without sound. Okay, fair enough. I assume, is it putting text out or something? You know, so that's going to be your next thing. How are you going to deal with the pain? So are you going to get hooked on a pain pill or a painkiller in order to deal with the pain side effects from having your myostatin inhibited? Why? And it's just all because people are chasing the dragon. When you just, what your diet look like most days? You could follow me on any of my social media. So if you want to see, like with your eyes, what my food looks like, you ask, what does it look like? Well, I put pictures of my meals up every day, 7 days a week. It's all on Facebook and Instagram. So if you want to see what it looks like, you can physically see my diet every day. All you have to do is follow me. How's that sound? How do you like them apples? Yeah, they're captions, but they're not acting. It's all good, Mustafa. And at least you chiming in. So here you go. You want to see what my diet looks like. There you go. There's what it looks like. All the drugs review. I can see Nick Walker being a crab like Ronnie in 20 years. Rufio, I want you to think that through for a moment. You can see Nick Walker being a crab like Ronnie in 20 years. If that's, what do you mean if? What do you mean if he doesn't drop dead? No, that's a hell of a statement. What makes you think that there's no way he's going to be in 20 years? It's just not. It's not going to happen. Do we need to do this again? Okay, I'm going to warm up my prophecy powers. What my success rate is, what, 90%? I have a 90% accuracy rate on calling the deaths of bodybuilders, fitness people. Do I not? You guys ready? Nick Walker will not be alive in 2030. My official accuracy rate, reputation on the line. Again, I have a 90% success rate on calling these so far. Keeping in mind, many of them have been 6 months or 1 year predictions. This person will be dead within a year. Okay. I've got every one of those. I have 100% success rates on those. Okay. Nick Walker will not be alive in 2030. I just put him in the Blaha Deadpool, which, keep in mind, is frighteningly accurate. 2 people have survived my Deadpool ever. One of them backed way off and quit using way as many drugs. And that was Eric Koneski, survived my Deadpool. Callie Muscle survived my Deadpool, but had a heart attack at the Deadpool instead of dying. Those are the only 2 people who have survived my Deadpool. So, Rufio, those are the 2 survivors. Callie Muscle, barely, and then Koneski came off all the drugs. I haven't given a number on Sam Sulek. It's too soon to call it. Yeah, I'm shocked that Callie Muscle, even after these heart attacks, the dumb stuff he did afterwards, I'm surprised he survived the other stuff he's redone again. Like, I almost needed to put a second Deadpool. Like, I'm surprised he's still alive. Yeah. All right. Gustavo says it's mind blowing to me how these people achieve that size. No, it's very straightforward. You know, like so. I mean, watch Nick Walker. Does anyone look at Nick Walker and think, hey, this guy knows what he's doing in the gym? Like, do you watch him train and go, oh, I mean, he can barely move anyways. It's very clear how they do it. It's just tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of drugs. Sam is too young to turn it out. Yeah, he's not going to. He's too sucked in. Right? Yeah, Dave Palumbo's not looking good, is he? I think the John Meadows thing was sad, but in certain ways it should have been predictable. Like, we didn't really see the signs with John Meadows so much as lifestyle giveaways. And I say that with all due respect because I actually like John Meadows. Given what we know about science and heart attacks, think about what we know about science and heart attacks with John Meadows. Okay. What was his official written position on saturated fat? That it was healthy and he always ate large amounts of saturated fat. Number one, bam. Number two, it was very, very clear, extremely clear that John Meadows preferred specific drug stacks that would predispose him to atherosclerosis significantly. That's a deadly combination. I don't know how to put, I don't want to talk about, how about we never discuss Richard again? I feel like I need to just put his name in my filter, honestly. Yeah. And when we say plenty of stuff, people are delusional with what they consider plenty of stuff. Like, I feel like people don't have a context for this. You know? I really don't think people understand what pro bodybuilders use versus people who are much smaller. Like it's all right. To the average person, someone will say, "Oh man, I bet they're running plenty of stuff," but they've never seen what serious bodybuilders use. You know. So, do you guys remember Konevsky's self-admitted drug stack? I almost want to go off this topic of fitness people. Like, I don't care. Do these people athletes? Do they compete in anything? Like, do we even care? Like, they don't exist, and I don't care anymore. But in short, Konevsky was running 7 grams a week with over 300 units of insulin a day, self-admitted. Yeah. So, yeah, plenty of stuff is a very relative term. But yeah, in short, I don't care what his confession is unless he breaks it all down. In other words, it's not a stack. If someone's not giving you the full breakdown, they're not admitting anything. Right? Taking tests. That's not admission of anything. That's not telling you anything. To me, an admission means they break down their stack. Anything short of that is not an admission because everyone can tell your own gear. Like this is not. It's not admitting anything. Like your body already admits it. You don't have to do that. Like it's useless. An admission means their exact stack. Milligrams, drugs, everything. That's an admission. if they get up and say they're currently on 100 milligrams of trinacetate every day with a test base of 600 milligrams of SIP a week. That's an admission. What do you think RFK stack looks like, Coach? I don't know. Probably it's testosterone. I mean, think of the money and doctors he has access to in his age. I mean, probably a little test and growth. Probably what he's on. If I had to guess, you know. I'm frustrated with RFK personally. Let's just be realistic. I really hoped the Blaha thing would do something useful. And so far, I'm not seeing anything. Right? We still have not removed the worst things from people's food. Your children are still eating the same garbage. There's been zero efforts to remove these things. In other words, replacing high fructose corn syrup with table sugar will not save a single person. I mean, are we all clear on that? Worrying about red dye when you're still eating table sugar and junk food is completely useless. It gets a misallocation of resources. Right? Think about the resources that were involved and the press coverage and the mindset that goes into worrying about red dye. I bet you need to get rid of the table sugar. Like, are you guys serious? And that's the problem. So that's kind of my point when we start talking high fructose corn syrup versus sucrose. I'm going to give you guys the equivalent. And people will, and what's amazing to me is how many people will argue it. In spite of the fact that we have numerous studies showing they have the exact same effects in the body. And I've had people write on Facebook, they'll write, but you don't understand, this is what high fructose corn syrup does, blah, blah, blah. And they'll go down the list. I'm like, you do realize everything you described, table sugar does the exact same thing. Like, I'm not defending high fructose corn syrup. I'm demonizing table sugar, right? So let me give you guys an analogy, right? Let me give you guys an analogy. Let's assume we had a crack problem. Okay, people were out smoking crack, but it was legal. Let's say crack was legalized, and you had two types of crack out there. You had one that they called real crack, aka real sugar, real crack, and you have high cocaine crack. And you make a big deal about outlawing the high cocaine crack and then telling all the drug dealers they have to replace it with real crack. So they do, and everyone just keeps smoking the same amount of crack. How many lives did you save? How many people's health did you increase? 0. But it's called real crack. The other is okay, guys. No, the other is high cocaine crack, and this one's real crack. I mean, we're living in idiocracy at this point. Okay, no, guys, listen. Like, okay, this one's high cocaine crack, and this one's real crack. See, it's healthier. Like, no, dude, it's still crack. And you end up getting the same amount of crack when you smoke them when it's all done. This is literally an analogy that matches this stupidity of the high fructose corn syrup versus table sugar. That's how I perceive it. No, you need to get rid of both of them. 3 initiatives I'd roll out as a minister of health. You give children refined sugar, you go to prison. There would be my first one. How's that sound? A felony to give refined sugar to children. Be my first initiative. I don't know. How far am I allowed to go in this hypothetical? How far am I allowed to go to reveal? Can we set stuff that people wouldn't like? Death penalty for manufacturing alcohol. You're guilty of capital murder and genocide if you produce alcohol on a mass scale and sell it. Charge them with crimes against humanity, capital punishment, public hanging. It has no benefit. There is literally no benefit to alcohol. Public stoning, there we go, maybe. So, I mean, if you want me to be extreme, but no, I mean, that's how but let me be clear, guys. I have seen so much horrific negatives as a result of alcohol, including up to the present day. I'm talking within the last month. Alcohol has enormously and massively affected me in a personal way in my day-to-day life in the last month again, as someone who's already anti-alcohol, against my will. So let me put that in context. Keep in mind, I'm one of the most anti-alcohol people you guys know of, right? Already, I was a year ago, and you guys already know this. I was very personally and very seriously affected by a drunk driver again in the last month. Like this month. In September, I have been personally affected by a drunk driver. Right? So, there's keep that context. Why would I be in a bar? Well, no, not if you execute the people producing it. I didn't say ban the substance. Hey, Rodney, I don't know how much I really want to say with all that. I've debated making a public post with pictures. I was not personally hit. How do we define was I hit? Was property of mine damaged? The people I care about were damaged. Or you ask me, was I personally hit? Those are 2 different questions. Welcome to, hey, what's going on, Luke? Appreciate the support there. In short, Rodney, a vehicle I own was completely destroyed. A vehicle that I personally own was destroyed, and I'm talking completely totaled. There's not much left of it. And the person who hit it has been charged with a DUI. I was not driving the vehicle at the time. And when I say the vehicle was destroyed, I mean destroyed. Rodney, think about where I live in the time of day. I don't know that it is. I mean, there's a lot in the air. That's what I mean. This is so. When I say I've been dealing with stressful stuff in my life, this shouldn't be hard to figure out. A vehicle I own was destroyed by a drunk driver. That's kind of a big deal. I wasn't even able to see the vehicle for 2 weeks. It was in evidence, being held. No one was allowed to touch it. Or look at it, including insurance. So, yeah. But it's pretty bad, dudes. No, it wasn't stolen. It wasn't stolen, but yeah, I know how insurance works with that. No, Rodney, none of that. Again, I don't want to say too much at this point because I keep my personal life off the internet. It's very clear that someone was driving it who was not me. Let's just leave it there. Someone was borrowing it. I was letting someone use it. And yeah, no, it was pretty bad. Like it's, and unfortunately, there's crazy lies being said about it on the internet by haters. So, and I don't want to address all that. But no, as it stands, as far as police stuff, the other driver is 100% to blame legally at this point, based upon the police stuff. So, yeah, so I'm dealing with a mess. So again, there's your context if we're going to discuss alcohol. I'm already anti-alcohol, right? I was already insanely anti-alcohol. I already had that opinion on the manufacturers. Do the studies. No, smoking is deadly too. We don't have any direct studies comparing, but that's the other thing. If you care about your health, why would you smoke anything? You know? Yeah, we know how anti-alcohol I already was. Let me be clear, beautiful. Anyone who cares about their health doesn't smoke. And I think that's a fair statement. You will never convince me that you care about your health if you smoke anything. I'm going to laugh at you. Like you forfeit any right to think that, but edibles, okay, but that's not weed. You're talking edibles, cannabis. That's not weed. Right? I mean, that could be an extract. It's not even the plant itself anymore. Yeah, I think if we go off the data we have, I think it's fair to say, it's reasonable to say that edibles are probably 100 times safer than alcohol. I already had to deal with insurance over a tree, yes. Yep. Yep. Same vehicle too, by the way. It didn't make it. Yeah. Yep. But I think that begs the bigger question of why do people feel the need to get high in general? Like what is going on that people need this type of escape? I mean, if we're going to talk about fitness, we need to be talking about our mental health. We need to be talking about these things too. And I would say that we've got to be looking at the bigger problem of what is going on with people that they need this escape from reality, that they need to get drunk or that they need to eat the edibles. We're not addressing a larger picture. Well, to escape reality, they're mentally weak, or they're having unaddressed trauma. Right? They have things that they're not addressing. Like it's a cope. But I think that's a good point too. We're going to talk fitness. We're going to talk about getting strong. We're going to talk about getting under a barbell. I think part of that means you need to unpack all your shit in your head that's making you feel the need to get high. And I'm saying that as someone over 6 years sober, So, I feel that I'm someone who has a right to say that to people at this point. Hey, dude, you need to unfuck yourself. You need to unpack whatever's going on in your head that's causing this. Right? You need to fix what's broken in there, or at least patch it up. But I think strength training can be part of that, can it? No, Rufio, that one wasn't cursed. That's only 2 things. My last one was cursed. That the Ford Focus had 100 miles on it the first time it got hit, and the other driver's insurance had to pay for everything, including my rental, because they were at fault. The Ford Focus I bought new. Like haters were saying it was a used. No, I bought that off the lot. It was a new car with 100 miles on it. It got hit with 100 miles on it the same weekend I bought it. It had $4,000 in damages done to it with 100 miles. I had to drive a rental for a month. I didn't pay a penny. Well, no, they were saying that it was a used car. But because I put up pictures and video when I bought it. No, it was new, but I mean, it was just a Ford Focus. It's not an expensive car. Okay. Are you ready for how cursed that car is? It was hit 4 times with the other driver being found at fault. All 4 times, their insurance had to pay for all the repairs and the rental every single time. Four times that car was hit. 3 of them while sitting completely still. Rodney, I wasn't driving it every time. I was only driving it 2 of the times. So my ex was driving it the other 2 times. Okay, you ready? When I was hit, I was sitting still. How can you defensively drive? I wasn't moving. I mean, should I run red lights? Should I not stop at stop signs? You see the problem? So both times I was hit, I was not moving. Actually, I had to do it in gear and try to get out of the way with the first one because I saw it coming. So I managed to get the car about 6 feet further out of the way so they hit the back bumper instead of my door. I saw them coming right at my door, backing up at full speed. A Jeep Grand Cherokee coming right at my driver's door backwards, hauling ass. So I threw it in gear and tried to move. It turned out it was a 16-year-old girl driving her parents' Jeep Grand Cherokee. So she hit me in the parking lot. She backed into my car with 100 miles on it. Yeah, no. So she was found at fault. That was covered. And then ultimately, that car was totaled by my ex, who didn't hit any other vehicles. She hit a curve so hard that the engine dropped out of the bottom. But it had some other things happen. Like even when it was getting the oil changed. And they were so apologetic. They're like, we're going to replace all this. We're just going to have to get other parts. Like, this will be sorted today. We're going to give you a free oil change after. And I was real chill. Like, why are you not mad? I'm like, because this car is cursed. Car is cursed. Yeah, the muscles help minimize the injuries. Rodney, I have Meniere's disease. Don't worry, there's no chance I will get on any type of bike, whether motorized or pedaled. You have no fears of this occurring at all with my medical condition. So good luck, Rufio. Have a good workout, man. Man, this coffee chat didn't get many people in it so far. All right. No, so that car was cursed. Yeah. But no, as far as the other thing, it's Houston drivers, right? Houston drivers. Just don't live in Houston would be the answer, right? Yeah, we're notorious for the bad driving in this city, this region. It is known for it. What's amazing is that as strict as Texas is on drunk drivers, of the sheer enormous. Yeah, they definitely got nervous. But I do the responsible. They even got more nervous because I had the thing and I'm over in my car and I'm trying to keep my cool. And the funniest thing, so I mean, because she was right by the neighborhood, like her parents were out there immediately, and her mom was trying to get out of the car screaming at me, and I stopped. And the dad's looking at me, and she's over raising us, says, "Give me a second." I reached over and took my gun off and put it in my car and closed it. And my reason for doing that, I was in a situation to where I could lose my cool, so I disarmed myself. So I was not having a good day at that moment. So I took my piece off and I put it in my car and closed the door. And they saw me do it. It's like, uh-oh. And then I came over because she was like screaming, trying to blame me, the mom. What did you do to? And it's like, and I'm looking at my car and looking, and it's just like, and even the dad's like trying to tell her to calm down. Hey, Dean, why would you ask me something like that? I don't think that's an appropriate question. So I want you to think about if you think that is an appropriate question. Right? At least your trunk didn't pop in the real stuff, right? Right? Oh, man. Yep, I am known for that. Everybody who knows me knows it's the odds that there's real firepower in the trunk. It's funny when I got pulled over though. I got let off with a warning for that one. I got pulled over for a ride on red that I didn't realize. And the two officers, Yeah, but Dean, think about the shitty nature of your question. I want you to think about that. Just ask me if you think that that's appropriate. All right. Um, yeah. Okay. So you're just a piece of shit. You can get out of here. You sound like an anti-gun person, and you're making that very clear. I don't like anti-gun people like that. You get the fuck off my channel. All right. You can just keep your opinions to yourself on that. You know, it'd be go a lot easier on you. No, I've had to deal with that with a traffic stop before. It was the funniest one because I got because you keep your hands on the wheel, right? And you let the officer know that you are armed. Like this is standard. Everyone knows this, right? Standard protocol. Hands on the wheels, and you take it down and you tell him, officer, I have to inform you I am, carrying, right? How would you like me to proceed? It's like I'm wearing, whatever, Glock 19 inside the waistband, right hand side. I've got my hands on the wheel. How would you like me to proceed? And then you let them decide. A lot of times they're super chill. They don't care. Like whatever, just leave it in. Other times they want to disarm you. In that particular case, he wanted to disarm me. And then he's like, do you have any other firearms in your vehicle? And I started laughing. So, I ended up being let off of the warning. I didn't get a ticket or anything. It was hilarious. It's just, he's like, we're going to let you people just park there live. We're just going to let you off of the warning. Because it's like I had another one in the glove box. I had an AR in the trunk. I had body armor in the trunk. Problem is we don't really have keys anymore. It's all just fobs, like we don't have physical. My last car didn't have keys. I just have a fob I drop in my pocket, a fanny pack. You just wear it. But I guess you could do that. But then he asked me, and it was hilarious because he's like, well, why do you need all this? And I pointed at his belt and I said, you got your piece and you have 4 extra magazines on your belt. He's like, yeah. I'm like, why do you need this to patrol the street that I'm driving down? Said, if you need this, if this street is so dangerous that you feel the need to carry 4 extra magazines, then I clearly need to be heavily armed also to drive down this same street. You ever get nervous? Why would I get nervous? Hey, Rodney, you sound like a piece of shit too. I'm kidding. Why would you get nervous? Good people carry, right? I work off the default assumption that you're a decent human being if you choose to be armed. Right? I don't trust people who choose to be unarmed. I see it as a moral failing. You're not willing to do your job as a citizen. You're not willing to be ready to protect people in your community if you need to. You're not willing to defend your own life. I question their manhood, and I've done it. I've told a dude straight up before, my friends know I'm like this in person. Like, you live in Texas, dude. You're a man and you don't carry a piece. then you're not a man. Like, I question their manhood at that point, because you're not willing to do your basic minimum duty as a man and a citizen in your society. You cause mass shooters. Like, that person, they're responsible. Because they could prevent that stuff. They're responsible for there being armed robberies happening. They're responsible because they're not doing their basic duty to stop it. Because that's happened here in Texas before too. Someone has robbed a store and 3 different customers all shot them at the same time who didn't know each other. Like, F around and find out. And that's the point there, Alan. But that was an excuse I heard someone say. And I told that person, I said, well, it was my ex is one of her friends. And I said, well, I don't want to be around you then. Like, you're too mentally unstable. He said, I choose not to carry because I don't trust myself to not use it recklessly. And I said, well, then you're clearly too emotionally unstable to be around other people. You should probably be institutionalized. So we come back over to this whole point of what are we dealing with as a society? So again, why are people feeling the need to use drugs and alcohol as an escapism? Why are people not able to control their emotions? You see the problem? We've got a bigger crisis here then, don't we? Rodney, they need to have armed individuals there ready to handle that. Now, you're talking with those sort of schools. Now, universities, they need to have campus carry. There's your solution, which we do here. Your solution. But no. Should teachers carry? Yes, absolutely. Notice I didn't even hesitate. Absolutely, 100% chance. There needs to be teachers assigned to do it too. Like, every school needs to go out of their way to have volunteers. They need to have X number of teachers who go into at least a program on that where the local police train them. Right? That needs to be mandatory. They need to work off of volunteers, but a school needs to have a minimum of 10% of their teachers who the principal and other people know that they're always going to carry. The students don't necessarily need to know. It needs to be kept in private, who they need to directly train. They need some direct training on it, and they need to be carrying. I think it needs to be 10% minimum, or your school can't stay open. All right? They should lose funding. How's that for a viable solution? I'm not going to go into details of specific pew stampede that's bad for the algo. I do understand why they're going over to those 6.8. I don't know that we really needed that. 5.56 is not really broken, especially not with changes in technology. I don't know. I feel like it could be a waste of money with all that, but I mean, I get what they're doing. With also the entirely new cartridge design. You're going to have better terminal ballistics. You're going to have better effective range. But they did have to have the design for the lighter cartridges, because otherwise, again, these guys who are carrying it, as you know, ounces turn into pounds and pounds turn into pain. So they had to have the new cartridge design to make them lighter to really achieve that from a logistics perspective. I mean, I get what they're doing. I have mixed feelings on it. Although I suppose when it all trickles down, it'll be interesting to mess with those new cartridges. Right? When it trickles down to the civilian market. Right? I guess I'll have to go to an M7 for home defense instead of an AR. Normally I have an AR by my bedside. I answer the door with a 45, but I keep a AR by my bed. Yes, if someone shows up and knocks on my door, I answer it with a 45 every time. No exceptions. I didn't invite you to my house. Why are you knocking at my door? Yeah, it is. It is. They need to keep raising those physical fitness standards because again, it's more weight. Yeah, they're moving back from the direction of a carbine back into a full size battle rifle, really. Which I mean makes sense out on an open field, but I mean, really, I think you were about to go with this. Is this really what they need to be clearing rooms with? If they're doing door-to-door stuff, I don't know. Smaller, lighter is better. Smaller and lighter is better. Although I'm sure they'll do some smaller versions, some SSBs with it. Right? Although you can probably get away with less barrel length because of the cartridge design. If it can handle higher pressures, they can run a faster burning powder. The hand loader in me. Right? Before the internet days, it was expected to get random people knocking on doors. Right? Doesn't mean you don't answer it with a piece. But you're right. But today, why would someone not text you? Why would someone not message you? When I go see a friend or my friends see me, it's generally, hey man, 2 minutes out, you get ETA. Are leg curls necessary for maximum hamstring development? No. Why would they be? No, I don't think they are. I think you can develop it with hip hinges if you need to. I mean, we could talk about a radiation effect. We could talk about hard sets. And I think this problem we have when we're discussing a lot of these individual heads is really in the context of sub-failure sets. Right? And I think we need to understand that. Because look at even EMG data. The more intense the work goes, the higher the activation goes up in all heads of muscles. Right? Because at the end of the day, is the muscle fiber recruiting. That's what we're looking for in terms of thinking of tension. Right? So what I'm saying, Benjamin, let's say you get up to where you can do 315 for 10 reps on a good morning. Really, any head of your hamstring not going to be massive at that point, is the point I'm making. But here's the other problem too. We have stuff like maximum development of any muscle. So assuming no drugs are in the equation, because really maximum development of a muscle, you're going to have to maximize every drug pathway. So let's set aside this. So we don't really mean maximum, we mean maximum drug free. Well, we're looking at a time component because you're never going to reach maximum development. It's a moving target. So when we have these conversations also, we're also talking about the time component. So the same thing with, what's going on, Lars? So Benjamin, the same thing when you think in terms of this, well, individual extra, people are thinking in terms of an individual rep when they need to be thinking in terms of a 10-year stretch. But the same thing you're talking, well, but this exercise on rep 6 or whatever, it's going to activate this head. Okay. When tensions get high enough, you're going to activate everything eventually anyways. And when you start setting these things aside and you start doing hard sets to failure or close to failure over multiple sets, a lot of these ideas start to go away. Okay. Right. So it's like, but this head gets worked more and this one gets left out on, an 8 rep set with your 12 rep max. Okay, fine. But what happens if you do a big compound movement where that muscle's a primary mover and you do 10 sets to failure of around 10 reps over multiple sets? Do you understand the muscle activation difference is enormous? It is miles apart. And the same thing when you think in terms of the fact that over time, most of the muscle fibers are going to cap and your maximum is going to be just those fastest twitch fibers. But those are going to keep growing for 25 years. So when we start talking maximum development as a concept, again, assuming no drugs, right? Because as soon as drugs are introduced to the mix, you now have to maximize every anabolic pathway to its maximum extent. The androgen receptor has to be saturated, and so on and so forth, which might take 10 grams. So depending upon your upregulation over time. So this is what you have to think in terms of maximum development. You need to be looking at the totality of workload and fatigue that muscle is experiencing over the entire workout, over the entire week, and plot it out over years. Right? People miss the forest for the trees on this. So to answer your question, no, a leg curl isn't necessary for maximum hamstring development. Maybe not the answer you were expecting. But did you want a real answer? Or did you want me to just throw you out a trite? Well, sure, the biceps femoris, to get 100% activation on a sub-failure set, single set, this isn't useful. Right? That's not useful. The sun, it's still dark out there at 6:30. We know we're changing season at this point. Oh, man. The seasons are changing. Benjamin, would you say doing ab work is compulsory for athleticism and overall fitness? Not necessarily. I mean, it would be a good idea to do some. Yeah, it would be a good idea to do some. But compulsory, I don't know about that. I feel like that's might be pushing it a little bit. It would probably be wise to do at least some, though. right? I should probably start adding some more back in. I almost feel like I need to do it after my sled. I don't want to do ab work and then do sled though. Right after. That could suck. But maybe I should. Maybe I could. Right? Maybe I could. This isn't getting that many views compared to some of these. We didn't get enough likes. That's part of the problem. We have way more people comment who drop likes. I push for time in gym, so I don't know if I should do ab exercises or if I should isolate. Like if you're pushed for time, then you don't necessarily need to isolate. Like isolation work in general is for people who have free time to do it. It's just kind of be realistic here. Yeah. I'm saying that as a coach, if I have people who have very limited gym time, we don't stand around worrying about that stuff. We really don't. There's no need. Maybe one isolation every now and then, but if you're that crunched for time, then don't bother with ab work. But if you can't come over and say for compulsory for athleticism and overall fitness, and then say that you don't have time to do everything, you kind of gotta pick and choose your battles, right? You gotta look at what's practical and realistic. With your time management and your lifestyle. Someone who's on a big time crunch doesn't have time to isolate their triceps, biceps, and do ab work at the end. If it's going to compromise their other big movements, it's not an efficient use of your time if you're truly on a time crunch, right? So we have to be practical. Right? We have to be practical. Too many people worry about what's optimal versus what's actually practical for them. I'll go so far as to say that people who are not a competitor in something, or they don't have a financial tie to their performance or their training, like one of those two things, they don't really need to worry about things like optimal. It's just not a good use of their efforts to try to optimize anything, right? Or it goes back to that expression, perfect is the enemy of good. I think we see the same thing with the evidence-based people who will literally neglect the important exercises to focus on the angle of pull on a one-arm lat pull down. But they don't do weighted pull-ups or barbell rows. It's like, right? It's like, well, let me know how that works out for you. Yeah. All right, guys, I think it might be about time to wind this one down. We're not having much happening in here. Let me shut down the Facebook. I'll try to do long ones in the afternoon. They do better. Do leg raises work the whole abs You don't have abs. It's one muscle. You do realize that that's only one muscle. Just like your bicep is one muscle, your ab is one muscle. It's not multiple muscles. I'm 100% serious. It is literally just one muscle. Yeah, it works the entire thing. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and wind this down. Love you guys, and I'll catch you here later. I'll try to do a long one this afternoon. Get a good topic.